Hi, I'm Phil Bridges, owner of Straight Arrow Repair. Ever want to know how a repairman fixes things? Well, come with me and I'll show you how I solve problems. Let's make things better together. Wall. We gotta get the ductwork squared away. So, if you get into a spot where you need to adjust it, instead of hammering on the plywood itself to get it in a spot, take this and hammer on this wood. That way the dents on this.
And also make sure your fingers are nowhere near.
Yeah, don't hit your fingers. That's a good idea. In general purpose, don't hit your fingers. Alright. Gotta get this up in here. Really, really flimsy, inexpensive. And there's a bunch of staples we gotta pull out. But you don't need to see all that. We got something underneath us right there holding this up. So, let's get that. Maybe I could get my hammer under it.
I see what it is. It's this. This needs to be cut back a little bit.
Right there?
Yeah. I can get it. I'll find some here.
Just go ahead and put that down. This aluminum does not hold up very well. But we are making progress. Alright, so now we're not sitting on top of that. Make sure it's all curled under. I have to do a video on how to fix these things. And we'll put some screws in the sides or some nails and we'll hold that in place. So they use staples. You could use staples, air staples, or regular staples if you can get them to hold in. But you don't want to get in the way of your 4x10 vent fitting in there after you put your flooring, or on a temporary basis you don't want to fall in, you put the floor register or vent cover over it. I'm using 1.5 coarse, 1 5/8, something like that. That way it goes through the 3/4 and into the wood 3/4. I do it every foot or so in the field. Sometimes more. It's just high traffic area. You can do more, it just doesn't do as much good. But I do about every 6 inches on the edges. And this is an impact driver. You can do it with electric drill. You can do it with nails. It just nails will back out. You got a board here on the edge. It's like that wood was pretty swelled up. It might have been 1 inch. I'm not worried about that right here. If you notice, it's right on here. We were tied up against the bottom of that, so I know that probably got swelled up. We'll fill that in with spray foam or caulking That way no air gets in there.
Oh, there you go.
So what I was telling you about, if you have a board like this, you put it under there. This is a little bit long, so what I can do, put a screw right here. Loosen this up, it's sticking. Then big hammer for that job, but then we'll put spray foam and silicone and seal all that up so no animals or bugs will get in. Although, in theory only. If they make up their mind, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. A friend of mine was working with me. Was telling me about how every year down there along the Mississippi River have these gigantic concrete silos, and every year at the bottom of the silo, when they clean it all out, they have to seal up all the concrete because the mice and the rats will chew through concrete. I guess they take turns until they get to the grain. So every year they have to fill it back up with concrete because the mice will eat it out. So if you're thinking you can stop them if they want in, that's very optimistic thinking, not necessarily realistic.
So there you go.
All right, we got the first section in. We'll show you what we do when we get around the toilet. What's next? But I'll have to put another one. What we do is put wood everywhere that two pieces of wood meet. So if you didn't, what happens is a little bit of weight gets here or over here, and it makes a movement right here. So if you had linoleum or any kind of tile, that movement will end up making a line. So what we do to keep those two pieces always together is we'll put a piece of wood in between there. So that's what we're doing next. We're cutting. It doesn't have to be fastened to the 2x6s. That's a good idea. You don't have to. It's just to keep the two together. So it's 21 1/8, 7 1/8, 20. And we'll do that. And then I'll show you how I cut around the toilet flange. Anyway, here we are. We cut the board so we have room in between the 2x6 floor joists. And what I can do is just hold it loosely. If you're not as sure about yourself, you can just set your screws first, like so. Make sure that they're pulled up tight, because if they're not, then you pull down the other side, it'll be lower. That way, the floor seems to be continuous. That is a continual problem that I run into, is two things that people do on a consistent basis, probably because they don't know any better, maybe because they should do better, is that you don't want to put plywood over top of that particle board and then just overlay it, because that particle board will continue to deteriorate. It is, if you look at that, as you walk over it, this stuff will literally disappear until there's just nothing left. And you'll be having the plywood sitting on staples and nails that used to hold that particle board, and it's not anymore. So overlayment is never a good idea, because it ends up wobbling around. Whatever kind of flooring you put on it, even carpet will show lines where the plywood wobbles from side to side. And that's why we're doing that here. Not because I'm on top of particle board, because even though I'm fastening directly to the floor joist, I don't want that plywood moving. So got half of it underneath this one, and half will be under the next sheet that I put on. That way they're together, and the flooring won't, as a rule, be in bad shape. So keep that in mind whenever you get ready to do your flooring in a mobile home. Don't leave that old stuff underneath it, because it just never quits deteriorating if it's ever been wet. Now, we still got a little bit of screws to put on here and here, but what we're going to do next is measure from this wall to this wall, which is 59.5, and we got a little bit of cleanup to do right there. Make sure all your staples are down again. Pull them out if you want to. Channel locks work really well. They also make a pinching tool that you can roll over. I used to keep those a lot. If you want to get real fancy and you can fasten long screws into your floor joists, I used to do that a lot. I don't do it as much. So anyway, I have these edges where I want them. The next thing I'll do is cut my sheet full length. I'll measure where the floor joists are, mark that on my sheet, and then I have a water line to deal with and this toilet flange. Toilet flanges have taught me a lot of lessons. So what you do is you take all that wax off. If you notice, we put stuff inside there. It can be cloth, it can be plastic in this case, to keep what? The smell from the sewer, from the septic tank, from coming up into the room. It literally will burn your eyes. It's so bad. And some really unusual smells. So I'm pulling this old wax ring off so I can show you how this works. Now, you wouldn't want to cut around the edge here, because there actually are screws that hold this flange to the floor. We'll have to pull that develop. Now, you'd think you could cut right to that edge there, but you know what? If you reach under here, there's your screws that have the ability to hold it to the floor. And quite often you'll have a little bit of particle board that was cut. This Phillips head generally, and I believe there's usually 4. You can put more. You tend to want to be careful. You can pre-drill holes. And say if your flange got broken, you want to fasten it another place. You can pre-drill holes and then do it, or you can run your screw in backwards, like an 1.5 inch screw like this. Run it backwards and sort of like make its own drill bit. If you don't, it'll have a tendency. It won't always. To break if you get anywhere close to this edge, so it'll break the flange even more, particularly if it's an old weathered flange. So what I was going to show you is, if you look in here, that this sloped right there, so you wouldn't want to get your width on that all the way out to this edge, because if you feel under here, there's a slope, and it literally comes up to about right there. So we want to be able to fasten with the screws there. So we gotta make sure that we're about a 1/2 inch away from the outside edge, maybe a little less, 3/8. So it's important that we get it centered right, and it needs to be able to sit on the plywood. So what I'm gonna do first is go out there, cut the full length, then I'll mark the floor joist, and then we'll come in here and I'll show you how I measure that. 31 3/4, my stud that I forgot, or that stud, floor joist. All right, so we said we need to be about 3/8 beyond. So the inside is 4 1/16, but so that'll be 3/8, 3/8 is 3/4, 4 3/4 hole. We need a 4 3/4. We just might give it a little bit more than that. That's a 4 3/4 circle. So we need to find the centers. How would I do that? All right. So I'm gonna measure from this wall, and I slide it over to it, and where the center of it is 13 5/8. So this way is 13 5/8. We need to know what this way is. So I'm going to put up against this plywood 9 1/4. Okay, we also have this to deal with. So 15 1/2 that way, 7 3/4. No, that's going to be like a 1 inch by 1 inch. If I have a paddle bit, I can just, after I mark the center, I can just mark it, drill it right there. All right, let's go out there and mark it. All right. 15 1/2. And 7 3/4. Floor joist is there. Now, nine 1/4 over you can take it, mark it 2 different places, mark a line through, or you can do what I did, and then 13 5/8. There. That is our center. Now, they make compasses that you can buy for drywall. You get one. I'll show you one. I believe this was at a thrift store. I was kind of surprised. This one has a suction cup. You would not want to have to buy this one for doing plywood, but they make one for drywall. And what it does is the one for drywall, you have your measurements right here and you just adjust it back and forth like this one. But this one, you set it in the center and you go around, mark it. It's way fancier, and I just couldn't resist it because it was $4.75. And that would normally be $30, maybe more. Because it's brass and suction cup, so you can mark glass. Or cut glass if you got the right. Anyway, if you don't have that compass, we said that our width that we would give it 3/8 all the way around was 4 3/4. All right, so half of 4 3/4 is 2 3/8. So we have our tape measure, and we go 2 3/8. Make a mark right there. 2 3/8 right there. That's your center at 2 3/8, so we'll go 4 3/4 over here. 2 3/8, 4 3/4, 2 3/8, 4 3/4. 2 3/8, 4 3/4. See how I've got almost, I can kind of freehand it, but you want to, you can put more.
Or have a compass.
More lines to go to. And then you just mark in between them, circular. And I'm gonna give it room whenever I cut it. I'm not gonna cut right on that line. I'm gonna go back a little bit. So that would actually be closer to 5. But I know that this is my hole and this is the location that it needs to be. Now, I have to figure out how to get this in. What I could do, and I will do, is if you try to go around this round part to here, you won't be able to get it around the pipe. So what I'll do is I'll go from here to here. Lots of traffic on this road today. Okay, and there's a floor joist there, and we have more wood here, so we can literally just go straight through like that. Now, I can either go down to here and then go on that floor joist there, which would be pretty strong, but I'd end up with a lot of flimsy area right where the person stands. So what I would rather do is go back over to the floor joist here, which is the center here. And that way I can slip this piece in. It'll be a little difficult, but nowhere near as difficult as trying to. So what I would normally, if I wanted to do this all in one piece with no cuts, I'd have to cut this pipe if there was room, put in a coupling, put it back, make sure there was cut enough to allow for the coupling, the space of it, and then we'd be flat on the floor. But don't have to do that. I can do it this way. Slip this piece in first. Remember, I didn't go past the halfway point too much. And slip this big piece in here. And then I'll slip this piece in. Before I do that though, I'm gonna cut. Now I can drill with a paddle bit all these places, but I gotta cut it anyway. my sawhorses there too. So now I have the ability to get this battery-powered Ryobi or any other battery-powered, or you can do it electric, which I have. Every tool I have is battery-powered. I have an electric one in the truck because these, you never know when you don't have battery charged up, you need to get it done. Okay, and then I gotta get this part. Came loose. All right, we'll come back when we get, that'll probably be hot. Okay. Take all this in there and put it in. Now, we've got a, I left this off so I'd have someplace to, I could stand, but we've got to take out more of this just to get this in. When we get that done, we'll show you as I put it in, how it goes. That was a journey.
You want to explain to them?
We had to bend this to get this in. What I probably should do is cut from here over to here, and it would have went in a lot easier. But it is in. Now we're fastening everything, and we'll go to lunch. We've got to figure out where the drain is for the tub, rearrange the drain and vent they have coming out of the, what's coming out of the floor underneath the tub in the corner there, and we're going to have to figure out where that drain will come out here, and then we got to rearrange the vent so that that's got a mechanical vent over there. I don't know why. And then we'll also change out those to house type shut off, so we can we'll take this out, we'll take this trim off, this wood off, because we'll have to do something else for, looks like we need to get a little bit of drywall to cover that. Anyway, we're going to go to lunch. build bridges. If you like what you saw, you think it might be helpful to somebody else, push that like button and let other people know what you and I now know. And we'll work together toward making a brighter future. And by the way, we're not Americans, we're Americans. See you next time.